Hello, lovely people of the interwebs. So there are some technical issues at my work today, which make me unable to do any work. So I figured I'd use this time and film another video while there's actually still some sunlight out, because it gets dark really early now. I am sorry, as always, for the chaos behind me. I have not managed to make my apartment look nice yet. It's still sort of in the moving in process. So I have boxes and things everywhere. But let's be honest here, my place is never going to look neat and clean because I'm a messy person. That's just how it is. So today's video falls kind of under the tips and tricks for students, I guess, or animation VFX industry juniors. Basically, all of you lovely, wonderful, amazing people out there who want to get a job in the animation industry. There are some things that kind of don't really get talked about that much, or stuff that's just behavioral tips and tricks, professionalism kind of things that you should have in your skill set, or will help you a lot if you want to work in a kind of big time studio type of thing, and that are not necessarily obvious. So this topic today might seem a little bit boring, but it's actually really important, and it will make a big difference if you stick to this. I promise you, it will change your world. What I want to talk about today is note-taking. I know, very exciting, right? Stay with me. Stay with me. I know it sounds really boring, but taking notes is actually an essential skill that will save your ass. I promise you it will save your ass. Let me tell you why note-taking is such an important thing to do and to get in the habit of doing already in student days, but even more so when you start work in your first studio. Okay, so let me set the scene here a little bit. When you finally land that first job, which is really the most difficult thing to do, getting your foot in the door into the industry. When you finally land that first job and you have your first day at your studio, that first entire week, in fact, is going to be a training week. And this is true no matter whether you are a junior and it's your very first job, or a more senior artist, but the training might take a little bit less time the more experience you gain, right? Because certain things overlap. Anyway, in your first week especially, you are going to get absolutely and completely bombarded with information. Trust me. And you're not going to remember everything. So the first week is all about getting to know the studio, getting to know the specific pipeline within the studio, because every studio works slightly differently. Getting to know the specific pipeline within your show, because every project also can have slightly different workflows and different processes. Getting to know all the tools, having a more senior artist or somebody who has been in that specific studio longer show you around and kind of explain stuff to you, showing you where all the documentation is, all that kind of stuff. There will be such a crap ton of information coming at you that you will not be able to keep up, and you will not be able to keep everything in mind. And the thing is also that not everything that you will learn within your first week at a new studio, you will be able to apply immediately, or you will even need immediately. So there will be maybe, I don't know, you'll be there for a few months already, and you will be given a task that was covered in the training week, but you have no idea anymore how to do it because it's been so long ago. Like, you've literally haven't stumbled across this specific task until, months later. So as a junior, in general, but as a junior especially, if it's your first job, you should have a notebook and a pen glued to you. Literally, just have it stuck to you at all times. Just carry it with you everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I mean everywhere as in when you go to the kitchen to grab yourself a coffee. Take your notebook with you. You know why? Because you never know, you might run into a more senior artist in the kitchen and start chatting, and you will be idly telling them about this problem that you had, and or ranting about something, some technical issue or other, and they will have the solution for you. And by the time you go back to your desk, you will have forgotten it. Trust me. Or they might tell you about this new tool that they found or are working on if they, know how to program or whatever. You never know. Or some general animation tips, or within your discipline, how to do a certain thing, or a shortcut that you didn't know about, or whatever. Some gold nugget of wisdom. You do not know the amount of wisdom gold nuggets that I have received near the coffee machine. So you want to have your notebook with you in order to be able to jot those down really quick, right? There is so much new information coming at you, especially as a junior. If you've never worked in a studio before, I don't care how amazing your memory is and how well you learn by just listening. No, you will not remember everything that is told to you. Trust me. Write copious amounts of notes. And they don't have to be pretty. You can just almost created an accident there. Your notes don't have to be pretty, just write it down as quick as you can, whatever. I do recommend though, when you're back at your seat, to just kind of, go over your notes again and maybe clear up certain things that maybe are worded a little bit weird, because there's a possibility you'll read this a week down the line and you'll be like, what the hell I don't know what the. Another thing is that, especially for young artists, if you walk into dailies, which is review sessions, right? If you walk into review sessions with your supervisors, with your leads, with your whatever, when you show your work and everybody's showing their work kind of thing. If you walk into review sessions without a notebook, there is a very high possibility that you will get chewed out by your boss. I mean, there's nothing more annoying than walking into a meeting or walking into dailies and just having a bunch of people not taking notes. Because the thing is, you might think that you won't get a lot of notes on your shot because there weren't a lot of notes the last time you showed it, but there may be some new information or something that isn't working, or the client has changed their minds or whatever, and you should change some stuff that you weren't aware of. So your supervisor will give you a fuck ton of notes, and then you'll be like, if you don't have anything to write them down, you will forget all of them and you will get into trouble for not being able to hit all of your notes, all of your specific notes that were given to you for your shot. Always have a notebook with you, always. And at least write 1 word, 2 words, whatever. Sometimes your leader, supervisor, they will give you very specific notes, like on frame 1052, move whatever there, so just, you will not remember that. If there's a few of those, you will not remember that. Write it down. Have a notebook with you. Always, especially as a junior. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. The benefit of this is not only that you will be able to look all the information that you have been getting up somewhere, that it's just there for you to look at whenever you please, but it will also make you look professional as fuck. Because if you're organized with your notes, if you keep track of your notes, and every problem, every technical problem, every pipeline problem, every animation problem that you encounter and that you solve with the help of a more senior artist or just a colleague around you or your supervisor or your lead or whatever, and you write down the problem that you had and you write down the solution to the problem that you had, every single time you encounter this problem, and you may not encounter the same technical issue or this problem until months down the line or even years. But when you do, it will spark a memory and you'll be like, oh, wait, I have seen this before. And if you know you have it in your notebook, you can look it up and you will be professional as fuck, because you will never have to ask again about this specific problem ever. This is exactly how a really funny thing happened to me. So I am a technical idiot, really. I honestly don't know how I managed to have a successful career in 3D animation, because I am not good with technology. I am actually not very good with technology, but what I am very good at is taking notes, getting help, or finding help from finding the people who know how to do shit, finding information, so sifting through documentation, etc., Googling things, and finding my own solutions, and writing all of that down in a very precise notebook that I keep organized. And so I ended up being somebody that a lot of people who came into the studio, like my last like long studio job, I ended up being a person that people would just kind of come to for a lot of like random pipeline issues and technical things because I just had it all in my notebooks. Now here's a pro tip that will make your life a lot easier. Wait, let me actually get some of my sample notebooks. Okay, I got my notebooks here. So actually 2 pro tips. So pro tip number 1, I have my kind of general notebooks for the specific show I'm on. So this is where I will put in my notes from dailies, so from reviews and all of that stuff. And they will be very like scribbly and just kind of, there'll be, you know, sketches in between and stuff, because when I'm like in a meeting and I'm kind of, it's not my turn. So when you go into dailies, depending on whether you go in groups or not, if you go in a group, each of your shots gets reviewed separately, and if you're a big group, can take a while. So that's when my mind starts wandering and I tend to then start drawing. But so these are kind of my general bloopty stuff. So number 1, at the beginning of your notebook, whenever you start a new notebook, leave a couple of pages, like 1 or 2, and make an index. Take the time to number your pages. I know it's a pain in the ass. Either do it as you go or kind of just do it in one chunk in the beginning. If you number your pages, you can make an index. So then you have your general kind of shitty crappy notes in between. That's all like super fast and things. So most of the notes in your show books from dailies, etc., the reviews that you're getting from your supervisor, they're going to be throwaway notes. You're never going to use them again after you've done the note, right? After you've done what you've been asked. But in between, you will have these nuggets of wisdom, as I say, that you might get from seniors or colleagues or etc., pipeline related things that you look up, technical issues that you had. You can write it all down in here. And those are the bits that are important. So if you have an index and if you have numbered pages, you can have your throwaway notes in between, and then you can just quickly jot down the page where there might be something important or something you might want to look up again. And you'll be immediately able to find it, even amongst the entire like crap in there that you're never gonna have to look at again. Then if you want to go next level, which is what I do, so these are 3 of these are just one show, for example. These are just the notes for my shots from one single show. There's even post-it notes in here and stuff. I don't even know, to-dos and aw. I think it's post-it notes from colleagues. Aw. That's why I kept these, because normally you throw them away, right? So if you want to go next level, pro tip number 2, have dedicated notebooks, and these are these 3. From my 2.5 years at MPC Montreal, these are my treasure trove, and I'm keeping them because I may work with MPC again, who knows. These are my treasure possession notebooks, and they're pretty yellow by now. So basically next level organization, this is only if you want to go the extra mile, so to speak. Every really important note that I have in here, in between my throwaway shit, if I don't want to keep all of these books, at some point, every month or so, I will take the time to go through the index, like go through the stuff that I wrote down that's important, and transfer the important stuff into, like, see, I even had to make like a flip out thingy, transfer it into a dedicated pipeline only, or like technical whatever, like just a dedicated notebook for all the really important stuff. And I have 3 of those. Like, there's 3 notebooks worth of stuff in the pipeline. It's just, I mean, it can be anything from, okay, so Linux basics. So the MPC pipeline, or at MPC, the machines at the time, I don't know if they still do, I guess they do, worked on Linux. I'd never worked with Linux before. So I had to take notes on like how to open stuff and like how everything works, how to open Maya, I didn't know. So it's all in here. So the first one actually, after, a year or so of working there, or even 6 months of working there, I wouldn't use so much anymore because most of this is beginner stuff. But then I'd have like really obscure things as well, I don't know, CAM packaging. It's just camera stuff, data sheets, whatever, certain pipeline things, very specific pipeline stuff, or rig tools, or, you know, tractor things, which is the render farm that's used. Lots of stuff, tool specific things is all in here, right? And so you accumulate this knowledge, and all you then need to remember is not the entire way of doing it. Some things you will remember because you will be doing them so often, right? But it frees up space because all you need to remember is that, okay, I have encountered this specific problem before. I know I wrote it down, and then you just check. And you will come across as professional as fuck. Let me tell you. So take notes, my peeps. Take notes. I promise you it will help you a fuck ton. Also, from a perspective of somebody who has had to train juniors already, there is nothing more annoying than somebody asking you for the 4th or 5th time the same question, and having to show somebody how to do something like 4 or 5 times. 2 times, it can happen. 3 times, I'm already like, 4 times, I think you're taking the piss. Because if this comes up a couple of times, so the first time you might forget, or you might not have time to write it down or whatever, the second time around you encounter the same problem, you should already 100% be writing it down. Because if it's already come up a second time, you know it will come up again. And if you're asking me a 3rd time already, I will start thinking that you're not very professional and you don't understand that this is clearly a priority, or clearly something that will come up occasionally or more than once. And by this point, you're just wasting my time. Everybody in there, time is literally money in this industry, because we get paid by, we track our hours. So we get paid by hours, or have a daily rate when you're a freelancer sometimes as well, depends, but you still track your hours. So quite literally, time equals money. And don't waste people's times. Everybody's really busy in studios and stuff, and it's totally okay and fine to ask questions. And even if, you know, if you can't find your thing in your notebook, you know you wrote it down, but it's been ages ago, like, not a problem, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is within a fairly short amount of time, or within, say, you know, the person asks me how to do the same thing, like 3 weeks in a row, 3 times, I'm starting to be like, are you taking this seriously? And especially because I always make sure to say, like, you should write this down. This is going to come up, right? And then they don't write it down, and they ask me again, or I catch them asking somebody else the same question. That's it's a little, you know. So take notes. Do yourself a favor, take a lot of notes, make a little index, just this little amount of, even if you don't want to do dedicated notebooks, I promise it's going to come in handy, but you don't have to. The minimum is to make your life easier, make an index in front. If you have an unnumbered notebook, these were the free notebooks we got at work, so I use those. If you have like the pages aren't numbered, then, you know, spend like, it takes like 15 minutes or what, numbering the pages. You can even just do like every second page, right? So you only the odd numbers, for example, you know which page is on the other side, like which number is on the other side. You don't even have to do all of the pages. So yeah, just do that, and you will come across as professional as fuck, and people will be very impressed with you. Because you will seemingly be able to remember everything, and apparently even come across as somebody who is a technical animator, or who is very good at the technical stuff, which I am really not. I just take a lot of notes, and I have a very good index, and I know where to find my things. So yeah, that is my tip for you today. Until the next time, lovely people, have a good one.